right, good morning and welcome everybody. My name is Nathan Dunkerley. A few of you might recognize me. I have returned. And I'll be your MC today. I am pleased to welcome those here in our community center and those joining us on Facebook Live and YouTube to Kansas City Oasis. Welcome everybody. Since 2014, Oasis has been a premier secular alternative to faith-based communities. We welcome all regardless of beliefs or non-belief, race, gender, sexual orientation, identity, or any other trait. We feel the human experience is better when it is shared. And we are so pleased that you've chosen to share it with us this morning. We gather around our 5 core values, which are: people are more important than beliefs, reality is known through reason, human hands solve human problems, meaning comes from making a difference, and be accepting and be accepted. You can find out more at www.kcoasis.org/ourphilosophy. We have a great program for you guys today. It's going to involve our featured speaker, Michael Marcus, or Mike Marcus, who's going to be telling us about Thelma's Kitchen and reconciliation services. Our musical guest today is Cat Voltron, and our community moment will be brought to us by Adrienne Anderson. Cat Voltron is possibly a robot powered by thousands of tiny cats who are driven to eat garbage and sleep half the day away, but is more likely a pseudonym used by Zach Hagee for the songs he's written over the last decade or so. His overall output ranges from jazz-type pieces, super sick, to political, punky bluegrass, but lately swings more folk rock, and the now purposefully nebulous term indie rock. He can be seen around town at various open mics or with a 3-piece band, which is also called Cat Voltron. They have finished recording an EP, which should be out sometime in the next 3 to 100 months. For updates on gigs, how that recording is going, and random dumb jokes, you can follow them on Instagram, Facebook, and Blue Sky. His Venmo handle for tips is also listed. Please give a warm Oasis welcome to Cat Voltron.
Hello, KC Oasis. How are you all doing this morning? I'm nervous, but I'm fine. I'm glad to be here. Yeah, I've been coming here a few times now. I kind of heard a few rumors about this place and then showed up, and it was really cool. I used to be, I know this is kind of like a good place for people to go, especially if they used to be evangelical and aren't anymore. And yeah, I used to be Lutheran until I was about 28, maybe 29, when I finally decided to stop doing that. So I do have some relevant songs for that type of vibe, and tried to find some other ones that I had for just generally seemed related to this. Anyways, this first one is called Light O Light. I wrote the chords for it when I was having an anxiety attack, and then I sort of based the lyrics about that and about sort of religious anxiety attacks that can happen. I mean, the lyrics are purposefully vague, so I can play it anywhere and no one's gonna get grumpy, but anyways, Light O Light goes like this.
It's too bright, is it right?
tight. Thank you. I forgot to maybe warn you all that allergies earlier this week kind of stole my voice a little bit, so I do usually sing maybe a little better than this, maybe. You have to see a gig and find out, huh? Let's see. So this next one, usually when I play this randomly, I like to tell people it's a good gospel song for people who like to take everything at face value. That's not going to work. Good gospel song for people who like to take everything at face value. It's kind of like, it's a protest song. I'll say that. It is a protest song. So, what on earth? I don't want this sounding like that. Technical difficulties. This capo isn't usually this mean. Thank you to Oasis for having me. I'm really glad to be here. All right, I don't know what my capo's doing. We're just gonna roll with it, I think. Oh, this is the one that the stand is out here for. It's a newer one, and I keep rethinking the lyrics, so just have that there just in case I do forget some of them. Anyways. Oh, Satan's gonna come up wearing that holy name. Satan's gonna come up wearing that holy name. That old king of deceit. There's no known way he won't lie or cheat. Oh, Satan's gonna come up wearing that holy name. Oh, Satan's gonna tell you what you wanna hear. Every evil phrase is gonna ring in loud and clear. Singing something that sounds odd, but he'll smooth it over with an all praise to God. Oh, Satan's gonna tell you what you wanna hear. Satan's gonna tell you through your neighbor down the street, the one you've never met and that you'll never meet. Says he's behind you with a knife, just because you got Christ in your life. Oh, Satan's gonna tell you through your neighbor down the street. He knows what it takes to distract you from his plan. He knows what it takes to divide us. He knows who you hate just because you think you can. He knows you don't mean God when you ask, Lord, guide us. You're gonna do things you said you'd never do. You'd let Satan make monsters out of you. And the ones who stayed away will find it harder to try to pray, 'cause you're gonna run your whole faith to its doom. Oh, Satan's gonna let you do just what you want. Be proud of all that wealth, go ahead and flaunt. You got everything you need. Your neighbor just wastes that prosperity. Oh, Satan's gonna come up wearing that holy. Rich man on TV is really the only source of that good news, really solely, 'cause Satan came up wearing that holy name. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cat Voltron. That was wonderful, guys. Give it up one more time for Cat Voltron. Birthdays. We got a couple birthdays going on. March 25th, Stella DeRhodes. Woo! March 26th, we've got Doug Greer. March 31st, Michelle Hall. And then we've got a twofer on April 4th, lucky us, Bob Rhodes and Ashley Alt. And then on April 5th, we have Jeanette Baugh. Now, does anyone else have a birthday or celebration before April 6th? Yes. Happy birthday! Awesome. All right. And then some announcements really quick. This Tuesday, March 25th, bring your favorite board games and a snack to share for game night. Let's roll some dice, shuffle some cards, and make some great memories together. The host will be Ethan. If you have any questions, Ethan right there, wonderful pink shirt. Next Sunday, we are sponsoring a blood drive for Service Sunday here in our community center, 9:30 to 12:30, in place of our normal program. The link to reserve a blood donation appointment is in the event, or scan this QR code if you'd like. If you are unable to donate blood, our additional volunteer opportunity will be helping to prepare our community center for the silent auction and potluck on April 6th. This will include cleaning, painting, and setting up tables in the basement for the potluck and auction. So multiple opportunities, get involved, people. Also next Sunday, for those who are in the book club, they will meet after our Service Sunday blood drive. The book for March is The Night Watchman. And excitingly, Hamilton is coming up. Super sick. That's on Monday the 31st. Join us for Hamilton as the monthly Monday musical for March. That's amazing. That's an awesome alliteration. Wow. We will start the movie at 6 p.m. So whether it's been like a month since you've watched it or literally 24 hours, amazing musical, come on down, give it another watch. And we are 2 weeks away from Kansas City Oasis's 11th anniversary, y'all. We have a big name speaker with over 1 million followers and subscribers to his channels. Forrest Valkai will be talking about how learning science makes you a better person. And our musical guest, V-Tran, played at our very first KC Oasis meeting. Super sick. So mark your calendars for April 6th. You don't want to miss this one. And silent auction. Julie will come up really quickly and tell you about the silent auction coming up.
Hey, everybody. So I think maybe Cat and I hit the same allergens yesterday. Anyway, so my voice sounds like this. Yours sounds much better. I just wanted to go over a few things really quickly about April 6th. So Nathan's already introduced the fact that we're going to have a fantastic speaker. If you haven't had a chance to watch him on YouTube, I'd encourage you to. Sarah got to see him in person in Denver at a secular gathering, and she had rave reviews, so we have a lot to look forward to. Something else that's happening that you may or may not know is that we are part of a documentary that is being filmed, and there will be a film crew on April 6th. Some of us have already been interviewed for some initial interviews for this documentary, but they'll be here taking group shots, B-roll, and maybe a few more interviews. But I just want everyone to be aware of that. That we have the provision for red name tags for those that may or may not want their image or likeness to be shown in photos or videos. And we are very mindful of that, and are going to do what we can to ensure your anonymity if that is what you so desire. So more will come on that. We probably will make an announcement before the program starts on April 6th, because we need to coordinate with the film crew exactly what we're going to do for that group of people that wishes not to be filmed. But it's very exciting. The documentary is filmed by some documentarians that usually have their work picked up by PBS. They're talking about the decline of mainstream religion in the United States and the rise of the nuns, N-O-N-E-S. On the other hand, they're also, just so you know, full disclosure, exploring why megachurches are still a thing. So it's kind of a twofold thing. Why megachurches are growing, mainstream churches are dying off, and the rise of the nuns and people that just consider themselves secular. So we just wanted to make sure that you had that full information so you can be prepared for that filming on the 6th. The silent auction, as we're seeing here, we're still accepting donations. I would say through next weekend, since that will be kind of a workday weekend. Nathan announced that on the 30th, I don't think I saw the slide go by that said on the 29th, we also have a workday. Did we see that slide? Okay, so I'm looking at the board folks. There is a work day also on the 29th. So we'll make sure that that is promoted on the private page because I have 2 opportunities to help us get our downstairs cleaned up. That being said, again, one of the main reasons it's important to get our downstairs in shape for us to use it is because we are expecting a high volume of people, and likely we will set up an overflow room downstairs so people can sit around tables down there where we're going to hold the potluck. So you can still listen to the program, might not get to see it in person. Come early and come often is what I would have to say about April 6th. It's going to be a lot going on. Very exciting, though. It has been such a pleasure to see this community grow over the past, I would say 9 years, 9 years or so that I've been involved. The silent auction is just another way that we support a completely volunteer-staffed and donation-funded 501c3. So it's very important that, if we want to keep this organization going for generations to come, that we're making sure that we're financially healthy and thriving. So the donations we're looking for, besides art, other items in new or very good condition, and also services. If you have a service that you provide and would like to offer that up for a little bit of sweat equity donation, we would appreciate that. And I'm tired of listening to my voice. I'm sure you are too. And Barton, go ahead.
Someone has a donation that they want to give.
Yeah.
Soul on April 6th.
Okay.
What should they do? Let's say they bring it in
Yeah.
the 29th.
Sure.
Or
Yeah.
anytime when Oasis is open. What should they actually do?
We'll do with it. What if I'm not here? Oh, no. I would like everyone to start, since we do not have another gathering, we have our service Sunday, but not a typical gathering. If you bring auction items, I'm going to ask that everyone please put them in the library, which is that first door, the first door to the left as you come in the front steps. That's going to kind of be our staging ground until we move everything downstairs. So if you have any of those items that I mentioned that you'd like to donate. I know there's some on the piano that will get moved into there, but I think that would be a really good place to start collecting everything so it just doesn't get mixed in with everything else that we have here. So, all right. Again, I'm done talking. Thank you, Barton, for the question.
All right. So for those of you who are Facebook users, please be sure you're on the Oasis private page. It's really awesome, lots of information there. Any of our existing members can send you a quick friend invite and add you to the page. This allows you to engage in discussions, ask questions, connect with other Oasis members. Yes. Ask someone with a yellow name tag if you're interested, just like the one that Jason has around his neck, right there. Community moments are an opportunity for a member of our community to present on a topic of their choice during Sunday gathering. Topics can be related to your profession, hobbies, travel experiences, volunteer experiences, really anything. Sign up at kcoasis.org or talk to Julie Manning, who's probably, there she is, in the back. And up next, very excited, speaking of community moments, is Community Moment. Going to be presented by Adrienne Anderson. 3 words to describe her: strong, independent woman. And a quick warning label: I sing along to music at the grocery store, so you are duly warned. Please give a warm welcome to Adrienne Anderson.
Hello. All right, I also am struggling with allergies or a cold or something, so we'll see how this goes. Let's see. All right, so today I'm going to talk about my quest to learn Spanish, what I've tried and how it's going. And in particular, I've made it a 2025 goal to become conversationally fluent by the end of this calendar year. We'll see if I get there. So first of all, why now 2025? Well, this has been a lifelong goal for me. I took Spanish in high school, I took Spanish in college. I went on 2 immersion trips to Central American countries in my 20s, and I am still not fluent. And I recently had a milestone birthday, and I thought, okay, am I ever really going to accomplish this? So I thought, if not now, then when is it really going to happen? So I'm trying to really focus on it this year. I got started with Spanish because my family, my mom's side is from Central America, and I really regret that she didn't speak Spanish to me as I grew up, but I would like to learn and communicate with her and my aunts and uncles a little bit more. I also enjoy that it's just a great challenge for my brain. I love learning, and I like the way it opens up lines of communication with people I wouldn't otherwise be able to converse with. So how am I approaching this? I'm actually going to talk a little bit about each one of these. I'm using the Duolingo app, reading novels in Spanish, watching TV in Spanish. I have some in-person Spanish classes I'm taking, and also online language classes through a platform. And then I recently got back from an immersion trip to Costa Rica, and so that's one thing I'll talk about as well. All right, so the Duolingo app, probably you've heard of this. It's probably the most popular language learning app. It has little bite-sized lessons. It's really good for consistent daily practice. It also has a recurring cast of characters that are pretty cute. You can, during some of the comprehension lessons, you watch them go through stories like their first date with somebody or solving a problem at work, so it's kind of fun. Or a little tiny pretend podcast that they'll host, and you have to listen and understand. So I really enjoy that. I don't know if it's great for starting to learn Spanish from scratch, but it's a really good way to practice your pronunciation on a daily basis, help get an ear for the sound of the language, and enlarge your vocabulary. So I really like it for that. Reading novels in Spanish, this title is a little disingenuous because I haven't yet completed a single novel in Spanish, but I'm working on one. I'm working on this one right now. I first started with books in English that had been translated to Spanish, and I found that I really wasn't enjoying it very much. It just didn't sound that great, and I was like, why don't I just read this in English? It'd be easier. So I've now switched to well-known novels that were originally written in Spanish, and I have to say I'm enjoying it a lot more. You kind of see some very nice phrasing, you learn unique expressions, you learn a little bit about the culture, so I really like that. And there's also plenty of time for me to digest anything new that I run across, which is not the case for watching TV in Spanish, which I also enjoy, but it just moves past you very quickly. So these are three of the shows that I've enjoyed the most. If you can watch them in English, they'd be just as excellent. There's Land of Women, which was on Apple, and it's partially English, partially Spanish. And then La Casa de Papel in English is called Money Heist. Extremely exciting. It's a great show. I think it's like the #2 most popular TV show in the world, maybe on Netflix. Maybe I should qualify it like that, I'm not sure. And then like Water for Chocolate. It's also very beautiful cinematography and a great story. So I started out trying to listen to these in Spanish with English subtitles, and I found that I was not listening to the Spanish at all. I was just reading the English. So then I thought, okay, I'll turn off the subtitles. I'll just listen to the Spanish. And I did not understand what was going on. So now I'm doing Spanish audio, Spanish subtitles, and that is actually working pretty well. I pause it sometimes when it seems like something really important happened and I didn't catch it, so I can look things up. But yeah, and it's fun. I discovered an organization in Kansas City that offers adult language learning classes in person. So it's La Causerie Française, and they offer Italian, Spanish, and French. And so I am taking Spanish 3. It runs September to May, and once a week I go on Friday mornings for an hour-and-a-half Spanish class. If you would like to meet retired ladies, this is a great place to go because this is daytime classes. It's also people who just have unusual work schedules, but it's really nice. It's social. I like to go talk with my classmates. My teacher is great. It provides structure and accountability, so you know you're not having gaps in your knowledge because there's a curriculum that you're going through and a teacher that's expecting you to be there and have done the homework. And someone to give you feedback in your speaking. You know, if you're saying something wrong, they will let you know. So that's very, very helpful. If once a week is not enough, and for me to accomplish this goal, I don't think it is, you can also try an online language learning platform. And there are a few different ones of these. The one that I have chosen it's got the ridiculous name of italki. And it's a platform that connects teachers and learners around the world so you can have one-on-one language learning classes. And so I've set up a series of lessons. I've got a teacher named Javier who lives in Venezuela, and we're working through a curriculum that he's kind of created for me. It's very helpful as well for the interactivity, the speaking and listening, getting feedback. I find it personally awkward. Maybe after I get to know Javier a little bit better, it won't feel that way, but I do enjoy how flexible it is that I can set up lessons at the times that work for me and as frequently as I want. And finally, the one that is probably the most fun, I just returned from a trip to Costa Rica. This shows kind of, I went with Clark, my husband. We landed at the top there at Liberia Airport, and we went down to the beach for the first week of language classes, and then we moved inland to a little town just outside of the capital, San Jose, for my second week of language classes. So I was taking language classes 5 days a week for 4 hours a day in a class that was like 3 or 4 people with a teacher. So it was pretty intense. They do expect you to speak Spanish all the time outside of class, which I didn't always do, but I tried to do it as much as I could at restaurants and shops and all of that. That has all the advantages of the language classes I've taken here and online, in addition to just getting you over that barrier of being uncomfortable with your imperfect Spanish. Because people expect you to speak it, to try to speak it at least, all the time, everywhere you go. And so you're just like, well, I know I sound terrible, but I gotta try. And I think that's gonna be the hardest thing for me to maintain now that I've returned. I'm hoping that the online language classes will help with that. But it was a great experience. I've got a couple of photos. This was the first week. The school I found was called Intercultura, and I was very pleased with them. I would recommend them if you're ever thinking about doing something like this. But this was at the beach. I was standing in the schoolyard taking this picture of the school, and behind me was the beach. So it's very close. It was really nice. And then the second week was in this small town, Heredia, and so these are some of the other students at the school, and this is in one of the town parks. And then here is me at graduation. The man in blue was my teacher, Samuel, and the woman next to me was another classmate. She was from France, and we gave little graduation speeches in Spanish, which was nerve-wracking. But it was a fantastic experience. So if I had to kind of summarize how enjoyable were each of these, and how much are they actually helping me learn Spanish? Duolingo, I actually think it's fun, it's cute, and I feel like it does help me. Reading novels and watching TV, it's fun. I don't know if I'm learning that much, mostly because it's so passive. So I'm not having to create things out of my brain. The in-person Spanish classes, really helpful, and I enjoy the social aspect of it. The language learning platform, helpful. I'm not enjoying it as much quite yet. I'm hoping that will change, and Javier and I will become very simpatico. And then the immersion trip, of course, very enjoyable, very helpful. I hope to do more in the future. We'll see how that goes. But that is my talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adrienne. That was a wonderful list of resources, guys. Thank you so much. Up next is coffee break. Awesome. So during coffee break, be sure to introduce yourself to someone you don't know. Also, be sure to see the TV above the center doors in the lobby for more Oasis announcements. We'll see you back here in 20 minutes. not clicking for some. All right, everybody. For another set, please welcome back to the stage, Cat Voltron.
Again, hope everyone's good and refreshed. Yeah. So this next one is kind of related to, maybe not quite as related as not the same way that those last two were, but this one deals with like the theme of community in it heavily. I wrote it when I was just, I don't know, while having another anxiety attack, but a longer one. And yeah, I had this chord pattern, and it just was very comforting to me. And then I was trying very hard not to write songs that week, and then I just thought of a little bit of something, and that had to write that down, and then, oh, more stuff. And then this song happened. This one's called Stuck Inside. And this is in tune. Good. I've been stuck in here for so long. Might be nice to stretch my legs for a bit. Each day gives me something new to fret over. Each day also gives me one less reason to quit. No one told me that life would be so hard. Even if I'm just trying to live with myself. They say that hell is other people. Now I think hell might really be nobody else. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cat Voltron. Anybody else feel that as much as I did? All right. Next on the docket is our featured speaker, but a quick disclaimer, our program is designed to generate conversation and engage our powers of reason, not as a forum to start debates. The following presentation has been prepared by our speaker and not by KC Oasis. Please respect the views of our speaker, and if you have any questions, a Q&A portion will follow. So everybody give it up, well, in a second, for Mike Marcus, who is the Community Engagement and Volunteer Manager at Reconciliation Services, where he works to connect volunteers, businesses, and community members to meaningful opportunities that foster dignity and belonging. After 13 years in high-volume service industry work and management, Mike transitioned to nonprofit leadership, driven by his belief that food is central to building relationships and strengthening community. Through Thelma's Kitchen, he helps connect the community to RS's mission of transforming Troost Avenue into a gathering place for all peoples. So everybody give a warm welcome to our featured speaker, Mike Marcus.
Morning. Good morning. All right, it is a joy to be with you guys this morning. My name is Mike. I have the unique privilege of getting to work with volunteers, community members, organizations, social groups, all across Kansas City to talk about the work and legacy that's happening at the intersection of 31st and Troost. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to cover a little bit of background of the work that we do, how we got started, and from there just kind of share a bit more about Thelma's Kitchen and the work that we do. Like I said in my bio, food is a way that we break down barriers between people, and that is something that I really believe we cannot, when we hear the expression of breaking bread, you don't break off bread if it's something you're doing by yourself. You break off bread to share it with someone else. And so to start off, and this, I'm hoping this will come through for you all in the back, I'm going to point out a couple things. So what I have on the screen here, this is a program put together by Richmond University called Mapping Inequality. This is an interactive map. This is just a screenshot of it. But what they've done is they've compiled data from 278 cities across the U.S. and this historic process of redlining that took place in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. This process was a collaboration between banks and real estate agents that led to racial and economic discrimination in cities. And unfortunately, in Kansas City, we have the moniker being the cradle of this process with the creation of the Country Club Plaza, the history around J.C. Nichols, if you're familiar with some of that. This process really expanded out, and like I said, 278 cities across the country were influenced that. And you won't be able to see it in the screen, but there is some annotated X's right here along Troost Avenue. And that was indicating that Troost was the red line on this documentation. So if you're from a different part of the country, I highly recommend checking out this program. Like I said, Richmond University, if you search that name right at the top there, it'll pop right up. And you can interact with it. You can see, your neighborhood, what was written about your neighborhood that you grew up in or lived in when you were in college or what have you. This map of Kansas City, as it talks about Troost Avenue and how the community was divided and why it was divided, one of the major highlights was that the organization that compiled this information would go block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, take statistics, much like if they were taking a census. But one of the qualifiers on the form was majority race. And if a neighborhood was listed as majority black, majority Latino, majority Jew was also one that they could choose, it would immediately downgrade in its rankings. And so this classification system that was generated then influenced decisions made by banks, made by realtors. There's a lot of historically documented practices. One such practice was real estate agents used to go door to door, try to get people to buy into these new, blooming, beautiful suburbs that were being developed. And they actually used to pay black women to walk across the street behind them while they were making their sales pitch, pushing strollers, and indicate to white families that, it's so brave of you to stay because so few white families are. This is well documented. This is a process that has had lasting ramifications in our community and across the country. And believe it or not, so I've been doing this for about coming up on 4 years now. And when I first started, one of the questions I always would get from the groups that I would present to, I presented to a lot of businesses, and I would get a lot of pushback of like, okay, well this happened. Yeah, you said 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s. It was banned with the Civil Rights Act. So why are we still talking about it today? Why does your organization continue to operate in the way that you do? And the reason for that is because we see two things happen because of this process. We see the creation of generational wealth, a term that I imagine many of us in this room are familiar with, but it created the inverse of that as well. It created generational poverty. It led to historic discrimination, largely based on race, unequal access to resources, and really a stagnation of the economy of certain parts of our communities. And when I was digging and explaining this in a lot of the conversations that I had in explaining this, I was like, I wish I could show how this process still exists today. And then I found something from the 2020 US Census, and so this might be a little difficult to see, but this is what's called a racial dot map. And in this map, every dot on this map is representative of 12 individuals. Each brown dot is representative of 12 white individuals, and every yellow dot is representative of 12 black or African American individuals. And there are no streets marked on this map, but I bet all of you could take this laser pointer and show me right where Troost Avenue cuts through our city. And again, this is from the 2020 US Census. So this is the framework for the work that we do at Reconciliation Services. That little symbol right there, that is right about where our building is located. Again, I am not the most directionally talented person in the world, and there were no streets on this map, so it is very close. May not be exact, but that is about where 31st and Troost is and where we do our work every single day. And so now I get to share a little bit about how we became to be. And it started, our work started in the 1980s. And kind of a fun story that got passed on to me from our executive director. The gentleman you see in this picture here, his name at the time was David. He eventually became an Orthodox priest, and Father Alexei is how I have known him today. He was going through a divorce and trying to figure out the direction he wanted his life to go. And he got connected with a matriarch and patriarch of an apartment complex that's about a block from where our building stands today. And they called him up and said, hey, we have a family that's really struggling. Would you mind bringing some food? He was a three-piece suit-wearing insurance salesman from Johnson County, and he comes up to this apartment complex, and he's talking with the family. He's having a good time. He's delivering some food for them. And in the conversation, they say, you've got to meet our daughter, Thelma. You guys would just get along so well. And they had pictures on the mantle and everything else. And so lo and behold, when he goes to leave, he walks down the stairs, and Thelma is sitting at a chair in the lobby. And he points at her and says, oh, you must be Thelma. And she jumped up out of her seat and exclaimed, are you with the IRS? And this is the story of how Father Alexei and Thelma met. They would later get married. Father Alexei actually got disowned by his family because he married a black woman in the 1980s. And that did not deter them from the work that they did. They had such love of community and such love of neighbor. To touch on the song earlier, that idea of community, that idea of being stranded and isolated by yourself being the thing that is holding you back from loving other people, it is a dance. It can be challenging. It can push us out of our comfort zone. I was sharing with the tech team in the back. Historically, I've been the one running the tech booth, not the one up here doing the presenting. It took a lot of growth and a lot of experience for me to be willing to do something like this. It takes practice and it takes repetition. And for years, Thelma and Father Alexi would walk, they would go door to door, they would just ask people for what they needed. And then what happened, and the reason I choose this photo, I love this photo, Thelma is 12 years Father Alexi's senior, but in his late 50s, early 60s, he went back and got his master's of social work because he began to identify patterns that we might be more familiar with today, actually, because in Kansas City, because of the work of Father Alexi and volunteers that were connected with the work of reconciliation services. Because this history of redlining, before I walked in the room, how many people in the room had heard this term redlining, had an understanding? Fantastic. I cannot tell you the number of rooms, maybe 10 to 15% of the hands go up when I give a presentation. This helps me out a lot. He began to see these patterns, and a lot of why we are more familiar with this term today than we were 20, 30 years ago is because of the work of people like Father Alexi and Thelma, who compiled this history so that we would have a deeper understanding of the work that took place to divide our communities across the country. And so he went back, he got his master's of social work. One of the common things that we do as an organization is provide identification services. So we help with IDs, we help with social security cards, we help with birth certificates, helping people who may be exiting a cycle of homelessness, maybe exiting a cycle of incarceration, to be able to bring stability to their own lives. And so I'm here largely to talk about Thelma's Kitchen, which I will in just a moment, but I want to highlight that is not all that we do. Reconciliation Services is the primary organization, and our three programs that you see on the screen here, Thelma's Kitchen, the Reveal program, and the Foster Grandparent program, are the scope of what we do. Everything is centered around the idea of how do we turn the historic dividing line of Kansas City into a gathering place. And so the Reveal program that you see on the screen there, they're the ones doing the ID work, the birth certificate work, rent and utilities assistance, and we also have 3 full-time therapists on staff that provide group and individual therapy at no cost in collaboration, not only in our organization, but we work with other places like Amethyst Place, Journey to New Life, Prosperity. If you're familiar with any of those organizations, we send our therapists out into the community to continue to provide those services, because at its core, so much of the impact of that generational poverty and generational trauma is issues of mental health. And when those issues remain unresolved, you don't have the tools in your toolbox, so many of the Band-Aid solutions that we can provide ultimately prove ineffective. The Foster Grandparent Program, this is a program from AmeriCorps that we facilitate, the local chapter of. It partners senior adults in our community with students who are at social or economic disadvantage. And so we have 76 foster grandparents right now. They did about 58,000 hours of community service in the schools last year alone. They are amazing. They are rambunctious. We had a senior prom for them in December. Oh my Lord. That was, they can get down. And lastly, we have Thelma's Kitchen, of course, named in honor of Thelma, the woman that you saw on the screen. She had a passion for making sure anyone who's coming in for services had food. And they would get food from these organizations. It's like, oh, here's a box of spaghetti noodles or whatever. Well, these people are at the worst moments in their lives. They don't have time to cook. And so she would cook the food while they were having their appointments and make sure that they were leaving with food to take home for their families. And so she passed away in 2012. And we opened this cafe in 2018 in her honor. It started as a donate what you can cafe. We were never heard of anything like it. There was not really a template for what we did. We just tried it, and it was going really great until COVID hit, and then we had to figure out something new, like a lot of places. We smashed a window out of the side of our building and installed a drive-through sliding window and created these little boxes, these box lunches. Some of you may work for places or may have received one of these boxes with Thelma's Kitchen plastered on the top of it. What came of that was we were individually packing everything so we could continue to distribute it. But when COVID hit, we also got a lot of requests for, like, how can we continue to support you guys? In essence, we started up a catering business, and we still run it. We provide catering across the KC metro area, and 100% of the proceeds from all the catering goes straight back into providing trauma therapy services in our community. And so wherever you work, whatever events you have, if you order from Thelma's, you're supporting mental and social health services in our community just by where you're purchasing your lunch. And so it's been a way that we've been able to work with a lot of organizations that might not be able to financially support us, but they have a catering budget for their office. And that's a way that they can still support us, even if they might not be able to provide a sponsorship or directly fund some of the work that we do. We had a massive renovation project. Our building had been held together with plaster and a dream for about the last 15 years. And we had a big renovation project and just moved back into our building in June, where we reopened the cafe. And so we call it a pay it forward cafe. And so you walk in, and like any other restaurant, we've got a menu on the board with affordable prices. And if you're able to, we ask that you pay it forward. And every dollar that goes into the little pay it forward, there's a little meter that we ring the bell whenever we hit our goal for the day. It pays it forward for one of our neighbors who might not be able to afford a meal today. Last week we did slow roasted pulled pork, mac and cheese, stewed green. Oh my gosh, I ate too much of it last week. It was absolutely phenomenal. We've got a team of 3 chefs who run that program, and every day they bring their best and make sure that we are able to provide food for our neighbors and for our community, and break bread and break down the barriers that have existed a little more each day. And for our clients who are receiving services, so we have these wooden tokens that we distribute when someone comes in for case management or therapy session. They get one of these wooden tokens that they can come down and redeem for a free meal of their choice. And so we're still providing that meal in the community. But by creating more of a restaurant rather than a lot of people like, oh, Thelma's Kitchen, you guys are like a soup kitchen, right? Well, no, we do things a little differently. That's important work. I don't mean to diminish that work, but we're trying to do something a little different. We want to invite people from all parts of our community to come together, to have conversation, people we disagree with, people who have had different experiences. When we come together and we break bread together, we are learning from each other. And so this is just a snapshot of our team. I just love that picture. That was from our grand opening day. That building that you see there, that was from our grand opening. We are right on the corner of 31st and Troost. We've got 3 bus stops right there, which is part of the reason that we love that location. That building has been all kinds of things. It actually used to be a haberdashery that President Truman used to buy his hats at, and sat empty for years and years as that process of redlining took place. And then when Father Alexi and Thelma purchased that building in the 1980s, they had 20 people living with them in that building their first year of marriage, just working to meet the need for their community. They did a lot of work to help grow that program, to impact their community. And when it came down to it, and we began to address some of the core issues, what are the primary things that we want to focus on as an organization, these are the 3 pillars of the work that we do: dignity, community, and advocacy. And so when we are meeting with a client, we want to make sure that their voices are heard. We want to make sure they can be connected with other people, and we want to make sure that they have the respect that each and every one of us is entitled to as a person in this world. Just a little snapshot of the work that we do. This is from last year. We were actually that number, that first one, has gone down a little bit. We were the Midwest's largest distributor of federal relief funds during COVID. We distributed about $3.3 million worth of rental and utilities assistance, kept more than 3,000 families housed that otherwise were at risk of becoming unhoused. So that number has gone down just because of those funds have dried up over the years. But we continue to focus on case management, ID restoration, that foster grandparent program, access to necessary medical services, and we shared more than 4,000 meals at no cost through Thelma's Kitchen because of the contributions of members of our community that make it more possible. And I want to, before I head to some questions today, I want to share. Now, I will not do justice to his voice, but Glenn North is a friend of the work that we do. If you are in the poetry scene at all, I want to make sure I say the correct title because it has changed since last I talked with him. Glenn North is the Director of Inclusive Learning and Creative Impact at the Kansas City Museum, and he's also the Poet Laureate of the 18th and Vine District here in Kansas City. And so when we began to move out of the building and prepare for the renovations, Glenn came by and we took old planks from this board, from the floorboards, and had 31 members of the community, clients, Father Alexi was there as the founder organization, neighbors in the community, volunteers, donors, 31 people who have a direct impact and are part of the community right near where we do our work. And they all wrote on the plank one word of what truce and their experience with RS has meant to them. And he took these 31 words and created a poem, and he calls it The City of Reconciliation. And that photo right there, that is Alexis. She is our lead case manager. She is absolutely phenomenal. And she is standing in front of the wall where we had that poem printed. So when you walk in the lobby, this is one of the first things that you see when you walk into our door, alongside Thelma's Kitchen, hustling and bustling right over here on the screen here. And so I want to share with you this poem from Glenn North. After a little sip of water. Reconciliation is us, together, standing here on this sacred corner. Our centuries-long journey has brought us to this place. A new beginning lies before us, dancing on the edge of the wind, a dream we can now inhabit. If the city of reconciliation is where we choose to reside, we must never hide from the truth of our history. With humility, we recognize that parking lots were paved over the home of the Osage. Beneath the concrete are the bones of slaves. We move beyond intentions in pursuit of redemption. We recover and reclaim the ruin and rubble that remains from riots and rebellions and red lines that attempted to define humanity. Our bodies comprise a liturgy of inclusivity. All are welcome here. This city of reconciliation is not built with bricks and mortar. It sits on a foundation of love and hope, and its infinite growth is empowered by the heart of the people. We of the broken spirit, we of the wounded soul, forge a conspiracy of forgiveness and acceptance, which inevitably make us whole. With fierce vulnerability, our strength is revealed. We build an amazing citizenry, our homes, our habitats of honesty. Fractured relationships are restored joyfully with the masonry of civility. We even have learned to ponder sonder, which is to say, we perceive all that we experience collectively. We commemorate this historic intersection as a site for reflection and reconnection, for communion and reunion, for comfort and peace. In this house, we have prepared a table for you. Our balanced menu is stupendous. Everything is seasoned with transcendence. The city of reconciliation can become our truth. May it all begin on the corner of 31st and Troost.
My first question is, I'm pretty sure I already know the answer, but there's no religious connection to, I mean, do you no evangelizing, no preaching?
So it started in the 1980s as a ministry of the Orthodox Church. It is a formal nonprofit. We do not proselytize in any of our work. It is, we use the term faith-inspired, not faith-based, but that's, yeah.
Okay, it's not a problem, I just wanted to be clear.
Sorry?
It's not really a problem, I was just trying to figure out. Can I ask one more question? If we wanted to volunteer, what would our first step be? Where should we go? Who should we contact? Oh, right there.
I come prepared, mostly. There's a QR code. I'll have one for my contact information after this one as well. I'll leave this up. This is just, if you want to learn more, if you want to volunteer, if you want to donate, I was going to get to that in a little bit, but since you brought it up, I'll go and leave those QR codes up there, but that's a good way to get connected if you're interested, and then my contact information will be on the next slide here.
So the Disney building's 2 blocks away.
Not
Are you
even.
guys partnering with them in any way? Have you?
So actually, if you are on the directions. East side of our building, and look out the window, you can see it. It's on the same block. It is literally, I could throw a stone off the 3rd floor and hit it. For those of you that don't know, so Walt Disney lived in Kansas City, and there was an interesting story. There's a brick building, there's like an empty lot and then a brick building, and that brick building used to be a Greek restaurant. And on the upper floor of that Greek restaurant, the owner of the restaurant had a few apartments that he rented out. And he had this guy who was behind on his rent, but he was really merciful too. And he used to say that he would share his crumbs with the mice, which was his inspiration for Mickey Mouse. And that, of course, was Walt Disney. And so we do not any direct work, that just they're very different focus. We do collaborate with them just because of the proximity there. They also do a lot of functions that they will cater Thelma's in for when they're doing like fundraising or programmatic events. And they have put a roof on. I've been watching from my desk. They've replaced the roof so it is no longer full of holes and craters. So that is a work in progress on restoring that building.
You mentioned the wood token. If someone was getting services there, is there something you do, let's say someone who's never heard of you before but is walking down the street and is hungry, if they walked in and don't have any money, what would happen then?
So what we would do, we got a few options. If we are able to provide case management services, we'll connect them to the case management side, and that they would get a token through there. Within about 2 blocks of us, on any given day, there's at least 3 places that are offering food or free meals. And so we provide meals directly to our clients who are coming through for services, but we don't provide free lunches to anyone who's walking in the door, which has been probably the biggest thing that people are like, huh, when you explain kind of the work that we do. But we are wanting it to be more of that restaurant environment. So that we can continue to have conversations. There's this idea of like, when you sit down with someone and have lunch with them, you are getting to learn more about their experience, and you both walk away changed. You have to experience this mutual transformation. And so we've got a little bit of a different model than what people expect. But it's so far it's led to a lot of folks who might not have otherwise found out about the services we provide, getting connected with those services. And so it's kind of a unique setup, and we're still less than a year in and still learning some things and making tweaks as we go along. And the last thing is, if you donate and you would like to purchase a token, we do sell those physical tokens. And so if you work or live in the area and you want to share one of those tokens, you're able to purchase those and give those out.
So how does your catering program work, and do you guys deliver?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's like ordering catering from any other place. We've got a website. If you go to thelmaskitchen.org, it'll pop right up, and you can place an order, throw whatever you like in your cart. We do weekday delivery right now, pretty much just lunchtime, but you'll got my contact information, so if you have something outside those times, we'll try to make something work. Like I said, mostly prepared.
All right. Everybody give a round of applause for our featured speaker. Thank you so much. All right. And just a quick reminder, while our musician is coming back to the stage, that Kansas City Oasis is a 501c3 nonprofit, which is run solely by donations and volunteer work. If you liked the topic and music today, please consider donating through kcoasis.org/donate or by Venmo, which is conveniently located. Recurring monthly donations are the most helpful for us, so if you can consider that, we'd greatly appreciate it. All right. And closing us out for the day, one last set by Cat Voltron. Everybody give it up for Cat Voltron.
Hey there. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Nathan, for emceeing today. Adrienne and Mike for those lovely presentations. Those were interesting. Jason for setting this up. Will for running the sound. The last song I got is, I actually couldn't find a way to really relate this to it, but the tone seemed right. The tone does kind of offset the last song that I played. This one's called Everything's Gonna Be Alright. Hold on. Good. Yeah, that's fine. I know things haven't felt right for a while. I can see the size of that pile of ancient trash from outer space. And I know life hasn't gotten any easier. It always comes and takes a piece of your mental health and lays you to waste. And when you lay your head to sleep, you can never seem to find the rest that you need. I know words can't fix it, but believe me that eventually everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright, love. Remember when you were young and feeling giddy, back when life was so pretty? Those bad thoughts never got too far. Now they stay. You dwell on the past forever, 'cause it's too hard to sever those old regrets from who you are. You stay awake with your thoughts all night, looking for new angles in the light. You already know you're okay, no need to be so uptight. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright, love. And if you're wondering how I know this, that you just need to hang on round this bend. I can tell you that I've been right where you are, and I will be back there again. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And I could use your help, sweet friend. Tell me it's gonna be alright. Tell me it's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Love. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you again, Cat Voltron. And if you loved what you heard, remember there's a tip jar and also his Venmo handle and all socials. And do you have any upcoming concerts you'd like everybody to know about?
Oh, I think the next one's June 6th at Josie Records.
Awesome. Yeah, and if anybody wants any more details about that, please reach out right over there. All right. And upcoming next, if you loved everything that happened today and you feel like you haven't had enough, come join us for lunch and continue the conversation at Tower Tavern. Address is up here, and after we're done with everything, it'll be back up there again, so you'll be able to remember where to go even if you forgot. So a quick reminder before we go, please take a few minutes to help clean up if there's some trash around you on the floor, et cetera, et cetera. And just wanted to remind everybody really quick that there are many volunteer opportunities for Oasis each week. Everything from the sound to cleaning up, preparing every single session, what I'm doing now, all of it is volunteers. So if you want to get involved, there is a place for you. Reach out to any number of leadership. There's Jason, all of the Julies that you can reach out to and get involved, so please do. And quick reminder, once again, about this super awesome thing coming up in 2 weeks. Before that, next week we will be having, in place of our normal programming, a service Sunday. So come over. There's going to be a blood drive and a cleanup day downstairs. No puppies? No puppies? Apparently no puppies is the word. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. But there will be cleaning, so look forward to that. The following week is going to be our anniversary event / silent auction, and there's going to be a potluck with Forrest Valkai and our musical guest, V-Tran. Once again, we want to give a really big thank you to this week's presenters, Mike Marcus, musician Cat Voltron, and Adrienne for our community moment. Thank you guys so much. And thank you for being here or tuning in online, and we will see you next time.